He joined Clutch. He's constantly kissing LeBron's ass now, all the time. And you know what I found more concerning? In the middle of the game, he's on the bench. LeBron comes over at the end. He comes onto the floor while not wearing uniform, like, wearing his cover-ups. During the game, and him and LeBron are chatting it up like a couple of little schoolgirls giggling. Welcome to another episode of What Are They Going to Say Now podcast. This is Jay and Tony, and in this episode, we're going to discuss the new big contracts that the Warriors gave out and NBA opening nights after 2 days into the season, some early overreactions, if you will, and what looked good, what looked bad, and yeah. So starting with the contracts, in light of the Draymond punching Jordan Poole, we knew, and we said that Poole contract is coming sooner than later. Now, actually, I think it had to because it's an extension, and there was a certain date they had to do it by.
I think it was the end of October, right?
Maybe but that all but guaranteed it was going to have to be done for sure. And this is a really good look for the Warriors. Poole gets 4 years, $123 million is the guaranteed. It caps out at $140 million, but there's two different levels, and I didn't know this. There's a bunch of incentive or performance clauses. Some of them are not likely, and some of them are likely. And what I didn't realize is that when it comes to performance clauses, the NBA, the league, reviews those and classifies them as either likely or unlikely. And it's about a split. So like if the Warriors go to the first round of the playoffs, he gets $250K more. Second round, $250K more. Third round, conference finals, $250K more. It can be up to the likely incentives are like 1.5 mil a year, times 4. So, $6 mil more. So the likely incentives are what count against the cap, at least in their projected cap. It finalizes with the tax, but in terms of what they're allowed to do. And then the other unlikely ones are like MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, First Team All-NBA, and those ones are listed as unlikely. So they're possible, but they actually don't count against the cap in that scenario. And I didn't actually realize that the NBA had that distinction, which really makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. So you can't cheat it with incentives and then slide under the cap and then go over it with that. They don't allow it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, they do with the unlikely ones. They actually do make that exception, but it's up to the league to classify what's realistic and what's not.
Nice.
And then following up, Poole deserved that. We've talked about the importance of him creating his own offense, especially with Steph not on the floor, and how valuable that is to a team and how underrated that is. And so he deserved it. What a turnaround from just in a couple of years, how quickly.
It's crazy to imagine how quick he's gone from, basically first year looking like he didn't belong to G League to, coming back on fire and you were wondering if it was going to last. And now,
and I like him laying money on him as sixth man of the year.
Oh, 100%.
That's a really good bet. I got to look up the odds on that, but that's a really good bet.
Yeah. He should have had more consideration last year, but definitely. Yeah.
And he came off the bench to start, Game 1. He's the sixth man, first guy they check in. So he's got a real good chance with that. I'm going to look up the odds after the show and consider laying a little money on that. Mm-hmm. And then the other contract, which came as a hugely pleasant surprise, was Andrew Wiggins extending 4 years, $109 million. Huge discount.
That's a good deal.
That's $6 million less per year than he's making now. And that's in an era where the cap is continuing to rise. So it's really even more. If he had tested the open market next year, he would have gotten a max deal from somebody. Mm-hmm. And so he essentially took a 27% pay cut to stay with the Warriors and give them flexibility and have depth on the team. Huge discount.
I think it just goes to show also, he values more. I mean, he's made money in Minnesota and here on, on his contract since he's been here. But I think he's just proving basically like being comfortable and being a place where he wants to be is more important, right? And being the valued part of a winning team.
And it speaks to the Warriors culture. And he said as much. He said, well, I mean, come on, he was labeled a bust and he came to Golden State and it saved his career. It turned around the entire perception about him, made an all-star game. A lot of people sort of mock that all-star pick, but if you actually look at the position and who he beat out, it's not that strong a position in the West. So, and then
we don't
the
win
doubters,
the finals without him, for sure.
He shut the doubters up though, big time in the postseason, especially in the finals with how well he played. I think he has a good chance to make an All-NBA defensive team. He's not as versatile as Draymond, but you can switch him on to anybody and not feel bad about it. And he can lock guys down on the perimeter and on the inside. He can bang bodies on the inside.
He's sneaky good too. I think that's something.
And like Draymond, he has that extra long reach for his height.
Right.
He's got those long arms.
He's lockdown,
yeah. And so with those two deals, it's really going to be interesting because everyone said, well, they can keep 2 of 3, the other one being Draymond. I mean, technically that's true in the longer term. Draymond has a player option for next year for a good amount of money. If you're Draymond, you obviously would rather have a 3-year deal, even if it's a little less per year than that, just to have that stability locked in. And I mean, I've always said Steph and Clay are Warriors for life. Steph, 100%. Like, there's no way he would ever end up anywhere else. It just wouldn't happen. And I think he likes the idea of being on one team his whole career, like Kobe was, like Dirk was. And Clay, I think Clay, with his next contract, which isn't for a couple of years, I think, he respected Bob Myers so much that they signed him to that deal even after the injury. And he said as much, who does that? That's crazy. And I think he has such loyalty because of that I see him giving a future discount as he's, in his mid 30s and beyond. Yeah. But we've always said if one of the 3 was going to end up going somewhere, we always felt like it was Draymond. This definitely suggests as much. And, oh man, Draymond, how frustrating has he been lately?
Yeah, I feel like I want to root for the guy because he's done so much, right? He's the culture, he's the voice in the locker room, he's the passion, he's everything, the fire behind the team. But just in recent months, and there's been things throughout which we've kind of overlooked and said, oh well, but he does so much and maybe he'll change and this and that. But it just feels like lately he's just doing more and more, and it's almost like he's doing stuff just to do it and doesn't care of the repercussions, right? And kind of is, I don't know if he's trying to say he wants his way out or whatnot, but I mean, just some of the stuff he's doing now is just, it's, the fans aren't happy.
I don't want to say the punch is overblown because this is a big deal. Of course it is.
It's not.
But it's honestly not my biggest concern. And by the way, everyone, he's doing a podcast. He has a friend helping him produce it. It's not a big deal to go on for half an hour and riff, talking to a microphone. Yeah. He's got his production partner who does all the other stuff. He just talks in the mic for half an hour. Big deal. That is so overblown. It's not a big deal.
I don't have a problem with that at all. Yeah.
But whereas I feel like Steph and Clay have always been about the team. They've always about the team, and everyone has spoken endlessly about how Curry sets the tone in the locker room. He's the least selfish superstar they've ever seen. And so if your superstar acts like that, how can you act any differently? Right? You look ridiculous. Yeah. But I feel like Draymond's all about Draymond these days. I think he feels a little disrespected about his contributions over the years, and that's fair. And I would probably have a chip on my shoulder as well if I was him. But he's just he's
got 4 rings.
Look, he's constantly
4 rings. They can't take that from you.
He joined Clutch. He's constantly kissing LeBron's ass now. All the time. And you know what I found more concerning? In the middle of the game, he's on the bench. LeBron comes over the end. He comes onto the floor while not wearing uniform, like, wearing
during the game.
During the game, and him and LeBron are chatting up like a couple of little schoolgirls giggling. And you look over and it's right in front of the Warriors bench and side eye. All of them are giving them straight side eye. Like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
Iguodala with the not safe for work gesture he's doing.
What was that gesture he made?
It was like a little, I don't know.
Was it a jerk off?
Fellatio, yeah, kind of.
Oh, was that was? I couldn't tell. Right. And
So
you can tell that is really bothering. I mean, that was very obvious.
Yeah.
Side eye across the board. Every player.
Right.
Wiggins is like, you know,
right.
just.
Like, what is this guy
And so
doing?
that, I don't want to say that bothers me more than the punch, but it's in that direction of just like, come on, dude. It's
Let's
okay.
go
You
to the
guys are
locker room,
friends.
right? Yeah.
Do it after the game.
Right.
Going on the floor mid-game and acting like that, really bad look. And I feel like Draymond has lost any sense of self-awareness. You know, people are focusing on the wrong stuff. The podcast, who cares? But how are you carrying yourself around the team? You know?
Yeah.
Are you really buying into the culture anymore? Or are you a lone
right.
wolf? No. That's what it feels like.
It wasn't a big deal, but, you know, before the game, I don't know if
it's those little things. There's been a lot of
those walk-ins.
things.
He walks in wearing a bright green suit. It's like his money green suit or something. I'm like, dude, you just punched a guy in the face, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and the little documentary on TNT, I mean, so I know they were filming it before, but that's like, given the recent events, punching Poole, you need to cut that. You need to be like, no, it's not a good time to do that.
Yeah, some of the comments were just
the lack of humility that he's showing. Maybe he's shown humility to the team behind the scenes, but like you said, they're all throwing side eye at him, and it's that was very, very telling. And we're going to see how this pans out. I firmly believe there's a chance they trade him this season if this continues.
This season, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends what happens. Honestly, I mean,
he's more tradable now because I mean he has that player opt-in, you know, so a team could at least get him for a year and a half.
Yeah.
He could end up playing for the Pistons. They could use somebody like him, and he's got the Detroit ties.
He's so good, though. I don't think they don't.
No, I know, but like if he becomes a cancer in the locker room, which
I think it depends. It depends how far it goes, right? Obviously, if he's punching people in the face multiple times, something, you know, I think it's going to have to be something extreme like that. But if they're producing
I think it could
and
just
winning,
it could just be another blow up too,
like an argument.
Yeah, just some nonsense, and just he is lacking in self awareness right now. You need to show humility and keep your head down. Doesn't mean you can't do the podcast, but keep your head down and do the right things and show that you're about the team and not about Draymond.
And I don't know if that's. I think part of what he was, you know, part of what he said over the years is like, I can't be less than me. You know what I mean? And I'm not excusing him. I'm saying
we're huge. We've been huge Draymond defenders for years. Right. This is the first time where I'm starting to be like, come on, man, come on. Like, it's fine. He's fiery and he acts like that and whatever, but he was still always about the team.
Right.
This feels different.
It feels like we're watching a divorce happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
where you're kind of seeing
it's one
like
thing
little,
after another
little links. Yeah. And you're like, is that,
it's never
that
one thing.
Good. Right.
Well, it's not never one thing, but it's usually a little chink in the armor, this, that, and it just gets to the point where everything just starts to crumble. So like I said, we'll see how it goes, but bad look, first game of the season, shadding up LeBron. Like, it's just a bad look.
And you know, I almost think something like you were talking about an argument happening. I almost think it would be good for like the team to take that mantle up and like yell at him, be like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, cause he's usually the one doing all that. You know, we don't have a lot of loud talkers, and okay, maybe we got Jordan Poole, but obviously he's not going to, him and Draymond aren't talking right now, you know, and that's the other thing is that situation doesn't even seem resolved.
I wonder if Steph is going to pull him aside. I wonder if Steph's going to pull him aside.
Or
and be
Iguodala.
Like, hey, man.
Iguodala.
Yeah, or Iguodala actually is probably
like,
better.
Yo,
yeah.
Come on. Enough is enough.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe he doesn't respond well to that and, you know, blows up and it all ends anyways. But I just feel like it's going to come to a head one way or the other. And I feel like if it came from these people who he says he respects, especially Steph, if Steph was to yell at him, like,
yeah,
you notice he's never yelled at Steph, right?
Oh,
ever. Because I think he knows that, you know, Steph's the franchise. Steph's the guy.
Everyone says Steph's quiet or whatever, but he has some very low key alpha male.
Right.
He is like, you know, he comes off all calm, but you see it come out occasionally, and he is the alpha male.
Right. And I think if it came down to it, he's not going to let Draymond ruin the franchise. Right?
Because Steph's all about the team.
Right. It's going to be, hey, you got to go. You know?
Yeah.
So,
it sucks to have this conversation. Like I said, we have defended Draymond endlessly, and it's just, it sucks. He's kind of losing me, and I really hate to say that.
Is anyone, is like, even the biggest Draymond fans, is anyone defending how he's acted the last 6 months, I don't see how you can. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
you just say, oh, well, he's just being him and whatnot, but I don't know.
So getting back to that opening night, the Warriors look like a better team than last year already. They are deep. They played.
They're very deep. I didn't even think
this is a tribute
great.
to how bad the Lakers are, but the Warriors played 11 guys.
Wow. Yeah.
Like they were playing the Orlando Magic or something.
Yeah.
Like it was just like they're just getting minutes to the young guys, and it wasn't even, and also talk about we've seen Wiggins' confidence grow and grow, and I think especially in the playoffs last year in the finals, he's getting that respect. We saw it really big moment in this game was I think it was early in the fourth quarter. The Lakers actually pulled it to within 9 points.
Yeah.
Wiggins checks in, takes it down the floor, shakes off Russ, drains a three, goes down the other end, makes a defensive stop, takes it down. I think it's a pick and roll, slides off, knocks down the three. Back the other end, someone gets a rebound, kicks it out to him in the corner, knocks down the three. 3 straight possessions, 9 points, just straight confidence. And so Wiggins feeling comfortable more and more in this position and having that confidence is a great thing to see. That's amazing. Yeah. And I do think that's also the cultural part of him taking the contract for less, but it's also, it puts way less pressure on him, and he doesn't want to have that looming over him. You're on the max deal. It's like, no, he took a discount and he doesn't want to be the man, but he wants to be the right-hand man. And it's a perfect spot for him.
That's a great, fourth option, like on a team. If you have Andrew Wiggins as that guy, like you're doing pretty good. So,
yeah. Or second and third option some nights.
Right. Yeah. Depends who's out, who's sitting. Yeah, I actually didn't even think they played like they definitely didn't play like an A game.
No, they were shooting horribly in the first half, and then
the defense
really much in the second half.
Defense doesn't seem like it's fully up yet. There's some circumstances where,
but they were working in the young guys. They were working in the young guys. Like they never felt scared. Like they were like, we have this Lakers team. We have this.
You never felt like they were in danger of losing.
So I think they're going to be better than last year. JaMychal Green looks like a great signing already to fill in the spot with Otto Porter Jr. and Gary Payton II gone. Green looked great.
If he can hit some,
the announcers
shots,
really have to work on like JaMychal Green. Like stop saying Green because it's very confusing.
Right.
They're gonna have to get used to that.
Jay Green. Jay
Green. Just he needs like JG or something. It's gonna be really confusing.
Some kind of
two Greens.
Yeah. Well, there might only be one soon. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what struck me as odd about that game is I don't even have a take on how Draymond played. He was there. He had some good plays. It was kind of a quiet night. I guess.
He was passing the ball well.
He was setting screens, doing all those Draymond
I thought he was
things.
He was doing all the stuff he usually does, but nothing stood out.
Yeah. But he's always quietly impactful.
Right.
So, but I can't. Yeah, I'd have to go back and I don't even have an assessment for how he played. So, which is, sure he actually played well. Nothing stood out in a negative way.
He's guarding Anthony Davis most of the time. So if that's not an easy task, even if Davis goes off.
Davis looked good. He did. LeBron looked good. And that Lakers team is garbage.
Oh, so bad.
After that, who's your next best player? Is it Nunn? Is it Patrick Beverly?
It's
certainly not Westbrook.
It might still. I'm just talking about like.
It might still be Westbrook, but
it might still be Westbrook.
But
he actually played. He actually played pretty decent. I thought.
He was actually efficient. He was actually efficient.
Yeah. Right. So, he's still capable of that. And after him,
LeBron played well. AD played well. Westbrook was efficient, and they still look like garbage.
Oh, yeah.
That Lakers team.
Where the
you know what's going to be funny? If the Lakers team misses the playoffs, goes in the lottery, the Pelicans, meanwhile, look really good. We'll get to them in a second. But the Pelicans could have a really good year, and they get their pick.
That would be funny.
So let's actually move on from the Warriors and let's talk about the Pelicans. They took it to the Nets. Whew. They crushed them, and Zion looked fantastic. And he hadn't played. I didn't realize Zion hadn't played in 533 days.
Wow.
And he came in and he looked great.
Dominant.
And do you know what I really liked that he was doing? I didn't see the whole game, but I watched all the highlight packages and some. He's not slamming it on the rim every time if he doesn't have to. He has really nice touch, finger rolls off the backboard, because also slamming all the time, that's hard in your body.
Yeah.
and he's already had injury history. He needs to take it easy on his body. So he's got these delicate finger rolls that makes him look like a 6'3" guard, not a big man, right?
Yeah.
So it's just really impressive touch, and then he can hammer it home when he wants to.
Right.
And that New Orleans team, I mean, I think we both have an 8th seed. I'm already thinking maybe should have had them higher. They look, I mean, him, McCollum, and Ingram all had 20-plus points, and they ran the Nets off the floor.
Yeah.
And now the Nets we think are probably garbage as well. Not garbage, but KD played well. Irving played okay, except he is horrible on defense and always has been and continues to be. And then Ben Simmons fouls out after 23 minutes.
Yeah, he cannot guard.
And he only took like a couple of shots in the first 3 quarters.
They talk about him guarding centers, and like that's a perfect example. Like
Zion ate him alive.
You cannot guard someone like that.
To be fair, Zion is not easy to defend.
Eats a lot of people alive, right?
But I think Simmons' defensive prowess has been a little overblown.
Oh, yeah. I just think at that position. I'm just going to say
he's a good perimeter. He's a good perimeter defender.
Right.
But he's not a Draymond Green. He can't switch on to
no
players like that, you know. He can't switch on like Wiggins can, even, to be honest with you.
I mean, if we're going to be fair, he also hasn't played in a very long time. So, I mean,
he's also guarding a guy who hadn't played in even longer.
You're right. You're right. Hey, listen, I'm just saying, like, you know, 2 guys who haven't played in a long time. You know,
he came into that game though, picked up a foul early, misses both free throws. You're like, oh boy. So, I mean, I'm sure he's going to get better as the year progresses, and you know, honestly, the real verdict will be out on him until he plays in the playoff game again.
Right.
No matter how well he does during this season.
Yeah. Listen, you said that they could be above 8. I definitely think they can. I just think the West is so good, man.
New Orleans.
The West is so good. Yeah, New Orleans.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That team looks really good, though.
They did, but, I mean, we haven't seen the Clippers play yet. We haven't seen, you know, I mean, the Grizzlies look pretty good.
Yeah, this West is looking all-time stacked.
Yeah.
More than even, like, 10 years ago when it was crazy stacked. Yeah. Like, the Warriors won 51 games and missed the playoffs or something like that.
I think it was 48.
48, which was tied the record for most wins not making the playoffs.
Right. I feel like it could be one of those years. So,
yeah, this could be even worse. This could be, I mean, it's as stacked as it's ever looked. So, like I said, the Pelicans look really good, and we had them in their 8th spot. Yeah. Let's see, other things. The other opening night game was the 76ers in Boston. James Harden showed up this year in shape for like the first time ever. He looked really, really good. He looked, you know, he's doing some of his normal Harden things that drive me crazy, but that's, you know, that's on the refs and the league. But he looked great. So but the 76ers still lost.
Yeah.
Granted, they lost to a really good Boston team. Boston's going to be really good again, and they don't even have Robert Williams back.
I was going to say, that's without Robert Williams. So, I mean, I think Boston's going to be up there, even with a, you know, a rookie coach and all that, but they looked really good.
Yeah, and they have Tatum and Brown still. And do you know what I noticed in that game was, because I watched that whole game, Brown was going to his left, looking better. He must have worked at it after it became such a focal point. You know, he must have worked at it in the offseason, because several times he went to his left and made nice, like, coming back under the hoop layups. And so, yeah, if
he's
he kind of
young.
Working on his game,
can work on those parts.
He had to have been working on it. So I noticed it a couple times where they pushed him to his left and he didn't care. So
nice.
Yeah, that Boston team, you know, like I said, we both like Boston and Milwaukee in you know, and the 76ers in the East, you know. So it's still looking that way.
Yeah.
Let's see, any other takeaways from day 2? Banchero had a great debut.
Yeah. He's going to be good, man.
First game in the league, 27, 5, and 9. And he had a couple poster dunks over guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's doing that on a terrible Orlando team.
His rookie of the year campaign is off to a really good start.
Just saying, you know, he's going to be good, man. Yeah, no, I'm a fan of his. I think if he follows up on what he did in summer league like that, he's rookie of the year, no question.
Another team we've talked a lot about, and the big transition, is Minnesota. And Rudy Gobert looks like he played. I only saw the highlight package, but looks like he played really well in that debut. And he had 23 points and I think 15 rebounds or something like that.
16,
yeah. And what I thought was interesting was I read this morning, was last year for the Jazz, the most shots he ever took in a game was 14. And last night, he took 15 attempts, more than he did all of last year. And we saw some frustration with Mitchell not passing to him last year. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's proven that he's a little better on offense than we think. And I'm sure that's probably a focal point for him.
Yeah.
This year.
I still don't know if you want him taking 15 shots every game. That's just my opinion. But there's so many guys who could score there. Like, I'd like to have Cat taking like around that many. So I don't know. It's going to be a balance all year, I think, or at least in the early part of the year, figuring it out.
Yeah, I'm going to be curious to watch a full game with them and see what kind of rotations they're running. It sounded like they were going to do Ant with Gobert and then Cat with
D'Angelo.
Help me out. D'Angelo Russell. Yes. And kind of have that. You always have two of those guys on the floor, which that's pretty nasty.
What's the closing lineup? That's what really matters.
Right. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see that team evolve and how those rotations are going to work. And I think they're going to have some hiccups along the way trying to figure it out.
Yeah, definitely.
And you should. You don't want to maximize your season trying to win every game you can, but not learning about your rotations for certain situations for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. We've seen that with the good teams, good coaches will, I don't want to say sacrifice a game, but they'll mess around a little bit because you need to do that, because when it really matters, you need to have that experience to fall back on, those rotations, how these guys gel together and be able to do that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Did you see that Phoenix and Dallas game?
Right. Damian Lee, former Warrior, with the game winner.
Winners win, baby.
Right. And what was interesting was, with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Monty Williams benches CP3, who was having a hard night. Yeah. This is he wasn't having a great night, but to be benched during crunch time in game one is
it's a little rough.
Yeah. Chris Paul's 37. We know he takes great care of himself, but maybe this is the year that he needs to step back and not try and carry things so much. It's got to be Booker. Booker played really well. From what I saw, I watched a good portion of the game, and Aiden, Booker and Aiden pick and roll, it was pretty nasty. But for a little bit, it was looking pretty bad. The Mavericks, who last time those two teams played was Game 7 when the Mavericks destroyed Phoenix, and they were up 20 plus early on in that game. I was thinking, this is going to be this is going to be a really bad start to Phoenix's season, losing the Mavericks badly again, and then they picked and clawed their way back into the game. So I guess that's good for Phoenix. That was probably a really big win for them, just for setting the tone early and kind of bouncing back. Yeah. So Damian Lee's a good player. He was, a lot of Warriors fans gave him a hard time, but he can hit some big shots in big moments. He's not afraid of them.
He can. I think it's hard. It's hard to be a role player on the Warriors. Because you got all-time legendary shooters, and so if you go into a shooting slump, the fans are looking at you like you're terrible. Whereas he's going to get a lot more minutes in Phoenix. Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to see how many minutes he had last night.
I think I saw a stat where he scored 11 points. He only played all of them in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but he got 19. He got 19 minutes, which he rarely got on the Warriors. So
right.
I think he's gonna. He's going to kind of flourish, just getting a little more time to play. Mm-hmm. When you're a guard on the Warriors, it's Steph and Clay are already there. I mean, that's
right.
There's a lot of competition to get on the floor, so I think we're going to see him emerge on Phoenix, looking pretty good.
Yeah, a lot of pressure to produce in little minutes on the Warriors, and that's tough. So, but good, I'm happy for him. It seemed, I don't know if you saw Steph had a reaction.
Yeah, and he woke his kid up screaming at the TV. Yeah,
that was pretty good. Yeah. And then I think I saw also Moses Moody was hyped up for him too. He had a little reaction video as well. So it's good to see that they're, still friends in the league, and because he just got a ring with him. So
not to mention he's married to Steph's sister,
brother-in-law. Yeah,
yeah. So that'll be interesting if they face off in the playoffs.
That would be interesting.
All right. Any other observations from? First couple days of play?
No, I mean it's still very early. Obviously,
Yeah.
you said it's like overreaction takes over here, but I just think it's interesting seeing how different some of the teams look and how it's just going to be a good year. I think in both conferences. I think the level of play has been really strong. So I'm interested.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There was already a lot of games on, especially the second day, because there was just
Oh,
the
yeah.
2 games on the opening night. I was like, ooh, I want to watch a couple of these games. So
Yeah. And I'm already thinking about like, oh, I want to see that matchup. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
how the teams are going to look now. So it's going to be fun.
it doesn't really work for basketball, but I wish there was like a red zone type thing for the
Yes.
NBA. But it doesn't really
People-
work because basketball's so back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, and you don't really have games ending at the exact same time either, right? Like you do in the
Yeah.
NFL. They all start at the same, a group of them start at the same time and end at the same time. So red zone kind of makes sense. But yeah, it would be kind of neat to have something like that.
Do you want to talk about something non-basketball for a change?
Sure.
I want to talk about the Aaron Judge home run thing with Barry Bonds.
Okay.
Okay. So, and it's funny how they're emphasizing now that, Judge has the AL home run record. Like
Yeah.
baseball's never had records based on the league. Not really, right?
He did it clean.
Did
whatever
it
they say.
clean. and I feel like what's goofy is, I mean, there's no denying that Bonds was on PEDs.
Mhm.
But I will say this: they said he did it clean, didn't cheat. People forget, this is a long time ago. When Bonds started taking steroids, they were not a banned substance by Major League Baseball. They were not banned.
Speak on it.
So you want to say he's cheating? Well, cheating means you're breaking the rules. He
Mhm.
didn't break a rule.
Mm.
They didn't actually officially make steroids a banned substance in baseball until I think 2003 or something.
Wow.
It definitely wasn't in 2001.
Right.
So just a little hole in the argument. You're saying he was cheating. It's like, no, he wasn't breaking any rules.
Right.
And, I always consider Bonds to be kind of a victim of the steroids era in a way. I
Yeah.
know that sounds funny because he's the poster child for it, but he had already won 3 MVPs when he was young and skinny, and he was the best baseball player on the planet, no
Mhm.
doubt. And then you get the Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa home run chase, and they take all the spotlight. It was such a big deal. It became such a thing, and they say that saved baseball, which is true because baseball interest following the 94 lockout had really declined. So
Mhm.
that's fine. But then Bonds doesn't win, even though if you look at his actual numbers for the 99 season when that all happened, was it 98, 99,
Mhm.
98.
Yeah.
Bonds
I mean,
clearly should have won MVP, and he didn't.
Right.
And then, I mean, it was an open secret. Everyone knew those guys were juicing, like in
Mhm.
baseball circles. So if you know you're the best natural, talented player on the planet, and then guys are still in your spotlight and taking an MVP award from you, I mean,
Shoots it
how
up.
pissed off must he been? I mean, it's
Right.
already been sort of, I read this somewhere. It was basically like, it was like, oh, you want to see something then? Fine.
Mm.
And then he started doing it and then became
Mhm.
otherworldly.
Yeah.
So I think history will actually treat Bonds a lot more fairly. And I think we're starting to see that happen a little bit now.
Mhm.
Not to mention half the pitchers he was facing were roided up too.
Right.
Canseco came out and said over half the league is on steroids and whatever. And everyone's like, oh, Canseco, this guy. And then it kind of came out, it was like, all the stuff he's
Actually,
saying
they
is
were.
true, So that should also be considered, I mean, I don't want to say it was a level playing field, but it was not completely unbalanced.
He still had to hit all those home runs too, man. You know what I mean? Like I get the juice.
He's
argument,
still
but
the best hitter I've ever seen, and it's not
Right.
even close.
Nobody
just
wanted
the
to pitch to him.
discipline.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. How many fewer at bats he got because of walks?
The
too.
walks. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
I went to a
Put
game
him
and
in
saw
Hall
the
of
man,
Fame,
get intentionally walked with the bases loaded.
Right. Right.
That was the craziest thing
tells
I've
you.
ever seen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and also though, I mean, very cool what Aaron Judge has done. And then
Absolutely.
the playoffs start and Yankees fans actually boo him after like 2 bad games. And I was like, Yankees fans are the worst.
Mm.
This guy carried that team. Everyone around him played like crap for 2 months. He carried that team on his back. He's going to be the MVP,
Mhm.
and you're booing him. So,
Hey, man,
as a Giants fan, thank you because we would like to sign him,
Right.
and we won't boo him.
Yeah, we'll take him. Exactly. I'm out here on the East Coast, so I'm out in the middle of all of this with the Yankees fever and stuff, and yeah, they're a funny group, man, the Yankees fans. But they're still in it, right? I think what are they tied 1-1 in that series?
Yeah, they came back. So yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, Aaron Judge is great. He's a great player.
I hope he comes to San Francisco.
Great season. Absolutely.
That's the rumors that the Giants are going to put a huge offer out for him because he also has Bay Area roots. He's from the Northern California. So.
I didn't know that. Wow.
And he has family back here.
Hey, bring him home.
So we'll see. I think there's a good chance they're going to make it a big offer.
Nice.
Because the Giants need a superstar with Buster Posey gone.
Absolutely. They need something.
Mentioning East Coast and New York, can we dive into a little bit of NFL talk?
Sure.
So, I mean, you got the Jets are 4-2?
I think they're 5-1 as well, aren't they?
5-1, and the Giants are 5-1.
Giants.
Yeah, I think the Jets are 4-2.
Yeah.
Giants are 5-1. First time since like 2009 that both those teams got off to that good of a start or something.
It's like pandemonium out here, and we're 6 games into the season, but I mean it's wild. Right. Yeah,
New York team. New York fans aren't going to like this, but
especially the Jets. Jets have been so bad for so long.
Yeah, I'm not quite a believer yet. I think they don't have a lot of impressive wins on who they've played.
Right.
And also the NFC is garbage so far. Right now it's
except for the Eagles, right?
The Eagles, and I'm still a little skeptical with them. They've had an easy schedule so far, although they look pretty legit. I guess I probably believe in the Eagles more than the Jets and the Giants at this point. Right. I do definitely like Robert Saleh, the Jets head coach. He was the Niners defensive coordinator. I like that guy.
Yep.
Players like to play for him. So I'm a little skeptical, but I'm not completely. But it's going to take a little more time. Like I said, the NFC is garbage. There's not I don't think there's a really good team in the NFC. Not really. I think the Bills and the Chiefs over in the AFC are clearly a step above everybody else. They played that great game last week. A rematch from that amazing playoff game they had last year, where it was like whoever had the ball last was going to win.
Right. Yep.
So I think those two teams are really the only great teams in the league. I don't want to say great, but like they are a step above everyone else. Yeah. And the rest of the league is, and again, maybe the Giants and Jets will prove to be good, so I don't want to rule them out, and Eagles too. But I feel like the rest of the league across the board, not across the board, but in general, seems pretty mediocre.
Yeah, 100%.
So, and I'm wondering if part of this has to do with the lack of preseason. They still had preseason, but there's less and less starters playing. The limited camp time, less hitting early on. And I feel like the first couple games of the season, and this has been a trend for a couple years now, is almost like its own preseason. And teams take several weeks to start putting it together.
Right.
So
yeah.
So maybe some teams will start to put it together and merge and like, okay, they're pretty good. But right now it just doesn't look very good.
Right. I think continuity too. You're talking about like the really good teams. Jets and Giants, Jets and Giants, I have no idea. But the Bills and the Chiefs, like they've had that kind of been building those cores for a while.
There's no reason to be skeptical of either of those teams.
No. I could see either one of them taking it all the way. So,
but yeah, we'll see. I'm sure a couple teams will emerge and look pretty good. The Rams don't look great, and I think they're just really thin. The 49ers were starting to really put it together and look good with that killer defense, but
so many injuries.
Literally half of their starters are injured. So until they get healthy again,
right.
I mean, some of these games, and this happened last year, they were beat up and then they got healthy and then they went on a tear and ended up dropped interception from making the Super Bowl.
Right.
That could happen again. Who knows? Very inconsistent right now.
Yeah. Jimmy's
just like everybody else.
Inconsistent, like always.
Yeah. But he had played a couple good games in a row.
He did.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, he also lost, he doesn't have Trent Williams.
Right.
McGlinchey got hurt, so he was having some issues with the line, and
they have so many injuries on defense too. You could just tell, like, they're just beat up, man. Because they were giving up drives. They don't give up usually, that they were just marching down the field on them.
Yeah.
I think they're just beat up. So
anyway, it'll probably clean up and look a little better. Wondering how Tom Brady feels about, coming out of retirement for what's going on. he doesn't have a lot of receivers to throw to right now.
Right.
I think Godwin, is he coming back pretty soon?
I think he is. I think I don't know. I don't know if I heard an exact date on him coming back, but we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, I think we've kind of covered it for now. But let's let this NBA season settle in, and I'm sure we'll have some more to talk about next week or sometime soon.